Greetings, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of season 8 of the Lyons Den Quiz League. Last week looked like this. I finished in second place, just behind Saluna. So a very, very solid performance. I was 6th the week before that, and 2nd the week before that. So, as usual, we're just going to jump straight on in. The overall standings look like this, although most people have played more weeks than me, so they're not necessarily accurate. But I think I'm top 5-ish right now. I don't think I'm gonna finish top 1 or 2, but you never know. Maybe with a couple of good weeks I could. So let's jump in to week number 4, starting with general knowledge quiz as always. Number 1, what Latin American dish consists of raw fish or other seafood marinated in acid, combined with other veggies and served cold? Strongly associated with Peru. This is, of course, ceviche, which is so good, by the way. If you have not had ceviche and you aren't terrified of raw fish, I would highly recommend it. It is an incredibly good dish. Question 2. In most competitive archery events besides the Olympics, there are 2 main types of bows that are given equal footing in the program. One is the more traditional recurve bow, which is the only style allowed in the Olympics. The other is what modern bow style, which uses cables and pulleys. I have no idea. I mean, there's no way I'm getting this. I'm going to say mechanical because it sounds like what you would call something with cables and pulleys in it, I guess. I mean, this is just, you know it or you don't, and I very much don't know it. I don't pay attention to archery, so unlucky. Question 3, Barry Allen and Wally West are among the men to serve as what DC Comics hero who draws his powers from a mysterious force named for his most famous ability? Yay, superhero questions. No idea. Green Lantern, I think, is a DC Comics hero who exists. I can't name a lot of them. Superman is one, Batman is one. I don't think it's them. Beyond that, I don't really know, to be honest. I think Green Lantern is DC, and this is the best I'm going to do. Never heard of the Force, but realistically, his most famous ability could be anything. I mean, I don't know what Green Lantern even does. I don't know what the rest of the DC heroes even do either. So I can't even get that far as to even make a guess at what that is. So Green Lantern it is. Question 4. The Thunderbolt 4 interface is a computer port system that offers very fast data transfer and charging capabilities. The connectors have the same shape as what other type of connector? Recently, iPhones switched to this. Be specific. I believe this is a USB-C, which I hope I'm not messing this up, but like, I have an iPhone that uses one of the old connectors, so I don't actually, I haven't really interacted with an iPhone that uses this, but I think USB-C is just how they connect now. It sounds like I think I've interacted with people who had phones that had USB-C ports instead, so I'm pretty sure this is right, and be specific makes sense because it's not USB-A or whatever. So yeah, question 5. Our big toes are the 2 toes to have 2 of which bones, while the rest of the toes have 3. The bones in the hands and the feet past the knuckles, these are called the phalanges. So you've got like the carpals, the metacarpals, and the phalanges, and then the feet you have the tarsals, the metatarsals, and the phalanges. So I'm pretty sure phalanges is the word they're looking for here. And finally, question 6, similar to how Niagara Falls straddles the 2 largest countries in North America, what waterfall system straddles the 2 largest countries in South America, which would be Brazil and Argentina? The waterfall system on that border is called Iguazu Falls, with a Z in Spanish and a C with a cedilla in Portuguese. And again, as always, I cannot type accents on this keyboard. So we will go with that. This is going to be probably 4 out of 6, maybe 5 if like Green Lantern is correct. I think mechanical is really a shot in the dark, so I highly doubt that's right. But I think I'll enhance phalanges because I feel like the bones, especially those ones, are not super common knowledge, and I just know that because I took like a human anatomy class once over the summer, like ages ago. The rest of these, Iguazu is, I don't know, for a geography audience, probably too easy. USB-C is very gettable. Ceviche, I don't know. I don't know how commonly known that is, but it still feels easier. So I will go with 5. Iguazu, phalanges, USB-C, the Flash, okay, fine. Compound bows, never heard of it. Ceviche, so that is a 4 out of 6. That's about what I expected to get here. I've never heard of a compound bow. And again, the Flash is probably guessable, but honestly, did I know for sure that the Flash was DC? No. I mean, I figured he's probably not Marvel, so I guess it's DC, but whatever. I don't know superheroes, and I don't really care, so 4 out of 6 is fine by me. Quiz number 2. More general knowledge. It's all about pink. The pink map was a historical document drawn up by what European kingdom to claim sovereignty over a strip of Africa that stretched from coast to coast and included parts of Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi, among others. So this was a really interesting question because my first thought was like, it's the UK, right, or the British Empire, because Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi were British colonies. However, the more I looked at it, I kind of realized, wait a second, like if you look at the wording of the question, first of all, it says a strip that stretches from coast to coast. So it includes Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Malawi, but those are all landlocked. So it includes stuff to the west and east as well. And it also says somewhat successfully, meaning they didn't actually claim sovereignty over this entire thing. And it made me think, wait a second, like what's on the coast, east and west of those areas? You've got Mozambique in the east and you've got Angola in the west. So I thought, wait a second, this is just a Portugal thing. Except they didn't successfully claim the stuff in the middle. They only claimed the stuff on the coasts. My other thought was like, is it Germany? Because you've got like Namibia and Tanzania. And I think Tanzania at least some point was under German rule. But I don't think that makes as much sense because there's very little border area between like Namibia and Zambia, for example. And same thing with Tanzania. It's a little bit further north than most of the rest of this stuff. So it felt like it made less sense. So I think Portugal was almost certainly the answer here. And a really fun question, by the way. Like, I've never heard of the pink map, but the way that you can kind of figure this out by being like, okay, like what's on the coast here, and like what would be to the east and west of these. I really like questions where you don't necessarily know the subject material, but you can kind of get to it in a really clever way. So anyway, really enjoyed that question. Hope that I'm actually right, but I think I am. Question 2, after learning about the calming effects of a shade called Baker-Miller pink, psychologist Alexander Schaus ran a study to paint the walls of what places pink, which unexpectedly led to greater aggression. Another study named for these places was run in a university basement and was shut down prematurely, etc. Presumably, this is the Stanford prison experiment because, well, running a university basement makes sense. Painting the walls of what places in order to try and reduce aggression also makes sense for a prison. So presumably we are talking about prisons. While some like their steaks medium or well done, perhaps the pinkest possible steak is a category that is more rare than rare and named after what color? Well, this is annoying because I thought that there were 5 categories of steaks and I thought that the most rare was rare, but apparently there's another one. I haven't heard of this. I'm thinking it's something like magenta or crimson or fuchsia or, something like that. I'm going to say pinkest. If it's a shade of pink, let's go magenta. I mean, I have no idea. Like, it could be any shade of red or pink or whatever. I feel like you just kind of have to know this again. Like, maybe it's probably guessable, but I'm just going to be guessing one of these things, and I have no idea which one it is. I've never heard of this. I just thought that rare was the rarest steak. Number 4, the songs Boy's a Liar and Boy's a Liar Part 2 by Pink Pantheress differ in that the second version has a new verse by what featured artist? There's an orange-haired rapper. I'm pretty sure the orange-haired rapper is Ice Spice. I don't know. I don't really know anything about her other than that she has orange hair. I mean, I think MK on GeoGuessr had his avatar was like supposed to be Ice Spice for a long time. Or maybe no, it wasn't. It was Gingy, not MK. Anyway, pretty sure this is Ice Spice. Question 5. Pink noise, a type of signal that occurs in a variety of physical systems from tides to heartbeats, is defined as a signal where the power spectral density is inversely proportional to what quantity? In other words, when rendered as audio, white noise gives every pitch an equal chance of being heard, but in pink noise, each octave occurs twice as often and is thus twice as loud as the one above it. So, I had to think about this one for a bit because it was a little confusing. But as I understand it, we have like each octave occurs twice as often as the one above it. It's twice as loud as the one above it. So like lower pitches are heard more, right? If they're twice as loud as the ones above them. So presumably the loudness is what the power spectral density is, right? So like as the pitch goes lower, the sound gets louder is how I'm understanding the phrasing here. So if the volume, right, if the loudness of the thing is inversely proportional to something, that would mean that I'm thinking it's like frequency or wavelength or something, right? So the frequency, I believe, gets higher as the pitch gets higher. So if you're talking about lower pitches being louder, that means that lower frequencies are louder. So lower frequency equals louder sound, which is an inverse relationship. So I think it's frequency as opposed to wavelength, but I hope I'm not misreading it, or maybe it's an entirely different unit that I'm not even considering, but I think frequency is the best guess I'm going to come up with. And finally, question 6. What iconic character originated from a 1963 film where this character only embodied a large diamond from the fictional country of Lugash, but was so popular that he spawned a franchise centered around him and a bumbling inspector? This is, of course, the Pink Panther, which is really interesting given that question 4 has Pink Pantheress in it, which seems way too close to this answer, but I can't imagine this being wrong. I mean, the Pink Panther diamond, like, it's a famous fictional thing. It features in the Steve Martin Pink Panther movies, and I think probably all of them. But like the Pink Panther is, yeah, it's a diamond from a fictional country, bumbling inspector. This all sounds exactly like the Pink Panther, so that should be the answer here. And then as for what to enhance, I kind of want to go with Portugal because I feel like it's not necessarily easy to figure that question out. And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe everyone's going to make this connection, but it did take me a second to figure it out. 2 feels easy. 3 is probably wrong. 4 feels, I don't know. Like, I feel like this is quite known, but also, like, if there's, like, an older audience playing these quizzes, a lot of them probably won't know that. But she still is pretty darn famous. And then frequency, I'm not positive is right, so I don't feel like I should enhance that. And Pink Panther, again, feels gettable. So I'm going to go with 1. Might be a mistake, given it's kind of geography-ish. But, yeah, we'll see. Pink Panther frequency is correct. Ice Spice, Prisons Portugal, blue? How does that make any sense? What? How is it blue? I'm like, okay, it's going to be like fuchsia or crimson or magenta or whatever. Like a shade of, a shade of the color it actually is. Blue? That makes no sense. Can somebody explain that? Like, what? There's no way it's so pink that it's blue. That doesn't make any sense. Blue? Okay, I'm never getting that, and I feel like if you haven't heard of that specific thing, there is absolutely zero chance you're getting that right, because why would you guess blue for something that is very much not blue? Sure, maybe it's like the thermometer, like if you stick it in or whatever, it's like colder in the middle, so it's blue on the thermometer. I don't know. That's really interesting, though. That's strange, but I'll take a 5 out of 6. As we head to quiz number 3. And this is, as always, the pop culture quiz. First, what is the first name of the character from the show Cheers, who starred in a spin-off show in which he moves back to Seattle after living in Boston for most of Cheers' duration? This is Frasier. Frasier Crane, I believe, is his name. Never seen it, but I know that Frasier is probably the most famous spin-off of Cheers. Maybe it's the only one, I don't know. But anyway, Frasier is the name. Question 2, The Unforgiven 3, in which James Hetfield grapples with the morals of his chase for wealth, was created over a decades-long stretch by what band? The first song in the series, The Unforgiven, appears on a self-titled album by this band, colloquially called The Black Album. The Black Album is famously by Metallica. The album, I think, is just called Metallica, but yeah, it's, well, I mean, it does say that in the question. But yeah, The Black Album is Metallica. It's the one that has Enter Sandman on it, which is the only Metallica song I can name. Question 3. Elsa Lanchester plays the unnamed title character of what 1935 movie, a sequel that saw Boris Karloff reprise his lead role from the first film in the series? I have no idea. So no idea at all. I cannot think of a movie from this time period that is a sequel, so I have no clue, and I don't even have a guess. Like genuinely, I have no clue. I mean, unnamed title character. I was going to say Nosferatu 2, I guess. Nosferatu. But it's an unnamed title character, so that doesn't make any sense. So, like, I mean, I'm not going to get this. Like, I have no earthly idea what's going on here. Whatever, man. There's no way I'm going to get it, so I'm just going to say Nosferatu. Yeah, let's go with that. Forget it, man. I have no idea. Question 4. The film Terminator 2 Judgment Day sees Arnold Schwarzenegger protecting John, a child with what last name? Shares his last name with his mother, Sarah, protagonist of the first Terminator. Her name is Sarah Connor. Very iconic, famous character. Yeah, not much more to say about that. Her name is just Sarah Connor. Question 5. The second movie in what franchise is partially set in 2015 and predicted the year the Cubs would break a century-long World Series drought almost exactly? The three films are set in 4 different years: 1885, 1955, 1985, and 2015. This is Back to the Future. It starts in 1985 in the first movie. He goes back to 55 and then goes back to 85. In the second one, he ends up in the future because Doc goes to the future and he's like, oh, like, gotta fix this. And then they end up back in 1985 again. And then in the third one, they go to 1885 because it's like the Wild West or whatever. Anyway, question 6, Sober 2, Melodrama is the 7th track on the album Melodrama, a critically acclaimed album by what artist? Melodrama was the second studio album by this artist, though she was only 20 when it was released. I do not know at all. I'm just going to guess somebody because, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say that it's... what was I going to go for here? Billie Eilish? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know any albums by any people realistically. I feel like I've heard of Melodrama, but I can't place it, so I don't think I'm going to get it. And then as for what to enhance, I think I go for Metallica because I think Frasier is pretty well known. Sarah Connor, I think it's just a super iconic name. Back to the Future, I don't know. It feels like there's a lot of info here, especially given the whole time traveling thing. So I think I go with 2 because it feels slightly harder than the rest. But yeah. Cars. Okay, are there cars in that one? Yeah, okay. Frasier, Metallica, Bride of Frankenstein. Good Lord. Connor, Back to the Future, and Lord. Speaking of Lord. Okay, Lord is gettable. That's a skill issue. I mean, I should know the name. I know Pure Heroine, I think, was her first album, but I couldn't name her second, so that's on me. Bride of Frankenstein. What the hell? I don't think I've even heard of that before. I've obviously heard of Frankenstein, but that's just really difficult. I'm never ever pulling that. So yeah, 4 out of 6, and honestly, again, for pop culture, that's a pretty decent result for me, so I will take it. Heading to quiz 4, which is all about blue things, I guess. This statue, nicknamed Blucifer, can be found at what city's airport? A number of dark conspiracy theories surround this airport's construction and operation, some of which may have been inspired by the fact that Blucifer fell on its sculptor and killed him during construction. That's tough. I think this is probably Denver because Denver is just the airport that is famous for, like, having a bunch of weird conspiracy theories around it. I don't know what any of them are. I just know that Denver, that's just a reputation that the Denver airport has. Question 2, this is Finder. If you've ever used a Mac before, you're getting this. Question 3, this artwork showcases the International Blue, created by what French artist? I believe it's called International Klein Blue. I think his name is like Yves Klein, which is, it scared me because Klein is obviously not a French name. It's like more of a German name, but pretty sure it's Yves Klein. And Yves is at least a French first name. And International Klein Blue is just a thing. Question 4, the blue-green compound seen on the outside of the statue below is made up primarily of what 2 elements? So it took me a sec because copper is the thing that the statue is famously made of. But I had to think about, wait a second, like what is happening to the copper that makes it turn green like that? I think it's oxidation. Like, I think that oxidation is the thing that, like, makes the copper turn green. So I think it's just oxygen. I mean, I hope it's not like zinc or iron or like nitrogen or something. I don't know. But I think it's just oxidation. So I have to go with oxygen here. And finally, the 2 questions that I do not know the answer to. This is the album cover for a self-titled album, sometimes called The Blue Album, by what band? I don't have the slightest idea. I have no idea who these people are. I'm going to say Fun, because that is a band that exists and is made up of relatively young men, I think. So, I don't know, it could check out, but I've never seen this, so I'm not getting it. Finally, question 6, the cars seen in this photo were created by what supercar company? Logos redacted. This is just guess a random company that makes sports cars. It could be Rolls-Royce, it could be Lamborghini, it could be Ferrari, it could be Bugatti, it could be like Corvette. I guess that's like a Chevy thing. Again, I don't know. Again, who the heck knows what this is? I'll go Lamborghini, but I mean, I don't know. It could be any of them. Okay, so I don't know, actually. Like, What's more well known, like Denver airport conspiracies or international Klein Blue? That's kind of my question here. Um, Honestly, I might go with the Klein Blue because I feel like within this community, like people are just going to know about the Denver airport shenanigans. Whereas this, I don't know. This feels like something that some people won't know. I might be making the wrong decision here, but I'm going to go with 3. See how that works out for me. Denver, Finder, Eve Klein, Copper and Oxygen, Weezer, and Bugatti. I'm pretty sure I said Bugatti. I think that was one of the ones that I mentioned, but again, like, it could be any of them. Like, there's nothing I can do to narrow that question down unless you just know what their cars look like, I guess, or unless there was something else that I missed, but I had nothing. And then Weezer, sure, that's certainly a band that exists, but there are a lot of those, and I don't really know how to narrow that down either. So yeah, good enough for me, 4 out of 6, and we will head to quiz 5, which is a geography quiz. Yay. The vast majority of lesser flamingos breed in what body of water? It is a sometimes bright red and famously alkaline lake that lies on the border between Kenya and Tanzania and is named for a sodium carbonate based salt. This is called Lake Natron or Lake Natron. This is hard, by the way. Like, this is quite difficult. Um, Even for GeoGuessr players, especially because I don't think this area has Street View. I mean, Kenya does, but down by the border in that area, I don't think there's any Street View. So, like, there's no reason for GeoGuessr players to know what Lake Natron is, um, which makes this, I think, quite hard. But, I mean, we'll see how it plays. Question 2. Tourists in southern Chile and Argentina can go to view the migration of a penguin species named for what explorer, who also names a nearby geographical feature. The penguins can be found in and around. I mean, I'm not sure, but like a geographical feature in far south Chile and Argentina that's named after an explorer just makes me think of the Strait of Magellan. I mean, like, there's like the Beagle Channel, but that's named after the Beagle, which is not a person. There's Cape Horn, which again, I don't think that's a person either. And I can't think of anything else down there, like Torres del Paine. Like, there's a few things, but the only one that I can think of that's named after an explorer is Magellan, or the Strait of Magellan. So I think I have to go. I guess there's the Drake Passage, but that's not a geographic. I guess that is a geographical feature, but I don't know. But like the Drake Passage is just a big ocean thing. Like, the penguins can be found in and around. Yeah, I mean they probably can be found in and around the Drake Passage, depending on your definition of the Drake Passage. But given that they live on land, that seems weird. Like, maybe it is Drake, but that seems weird to me. Like, I feel like Magellan's a better answer because the Strait of Magellan has a lot of land around it that penguins would be on. So probably going to go with Magellan. Question 3. 2 of the best places in Iceland for whale watching are its so-called whale watching capital, or a larger city of about 20,000 people to its southwest. Name either of those cities which have been identified on the map below. So the one further south is just Akureyri. The other one, I'm not sure. I want to say it's like Sauðárkrókur or something, but I don't really know my Icelandic towns very well. I mean, the municipality, it might be like Tjörneshreppur, if that's a town, or I think Norðurþing is the municipality around there, and Tjörneshreppur, but I think Norðurþing, I don't think is a town. So I don't know. Thankfully, there's Akureyri in there because that's much, much easier. And I think that the vast majority of people getting this question right are going to say Akureyri because it is just way easier. Unless I guess you know your towns really well or you know your Icelandic whale watching capitals. Question 4. Every year, around 50 million red crabs on what island migrate to the ocean to spawn? Flag features a golden bosun bird and a southern cross. This is Christmas Island. I did a video with my now ex-girlfriend where we had a round on Christmas Island that was on a beach that had a bunch of crabs, and that was kind of a fun one. And yeah, I mean, I did a daily subdivision write-up in my Discord server on Christmas Island where I talked about the crabs, so it's kind of a fun thing. Look up pictures of it if you want. It's cool. There are a lot of crabs. Question 5. Though people historically have been unsure where eels go to breed, including Aristotle, who thought they were born in the mud or from the mud, scientists recently discovered that they migrate and breed in what body of water? A sea containing Bermuda that is the only sea without a land boundary. except Bermuda, I guess. This, I mean, I guess it's not really a boundary. Anyway, the only sea, famously the only sea without a land boundary is the Sargasso Sea, which is just a big, I don't know, part of the Atlantic Ocean. I don't really know what the boundaries are or what makes it what it is. But yeah, it's just a big sea in the middle of the Atlantic. Finally, question 6. The polar bear capital of the world is the remote town of Churchill in what Canadian province? The southeastern member of the Canadian Four Corners. This is, of course, Manitoba. Four corners being Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Northwest Territories, and Nunavut. So, hardest ones are 1 and 3. I think among a general geography audience, the play would probably be to enhance question 3. But since this is a GeoGuessr audience, and a weirdly high percentage of people are going to know what Akureyri is, I think the play is to enhance number 1 instead. Because, yeah, GeoGuessr players just know Icelandic towns, especially, you know, the largest one outside of the capital region. So, number 1 it is. And we shall see. Lake Natron, Ferdinand Magellan, Husavik. Okay, so I was wrong about what that town was, but thankfully Akureyri is correct. Christmas Island, Sargasso Sea, and Manitoba. And that is a 6 out of 6. Happy with that. I mean, yeah, that's geography for you, but glad I was able to get them all. Quiz number 6 is a photography quiz, which is kind of interesting actually, because this is the type of thing that I normally wouldn't know very much about at all. But I took a photography class when I was in high school, like 9th or 10th grade, whatever it was. And I did actually learn a decent amount about photography, so I know a few of these at least. Starting with question 1, Ansel Adams founded S8W4, a photography collective named after a small focused setting for what feature of a camera? It refers to the size of the opening, allowing light through the lens. This is called aperture or f-stop, but you know I don't think you're allowed to say f-stop. But those mean the same thing. So f-stop 64 is like super tiny little hole in the middle, and it's about like sort of long exposure kind of photography. I think he of course did a lot of stuff around Yosemite and such. Question 2, what type of ultra wide angle lens creates circular, intentionally distorted panoramas, such as on the album covers for the Jimi Hendrix Experiences Are You Experience and Harry Styles' Fine Line? I know I can name one type of lens, so I'm going to say fisheye. I think there was a question about a lens earlier at some point in LDQL, but I don't even remember what it was. Either way, it's not going to be that one because they're not going to repeat. A fisheye lens I know is a thing. I think this is what I guessed last time, and I feel like this one actually has a decent chance of being correct because it sounds right, but I don't know. Maybe I still have the wrong thing. Question 3, an 18th century passage where Sir Joshua Reynolds discussed the balance of dark and light in a painting is one of the earliest known records of what compositional rule that also applies to photography. On phone cameras, an overlay of 2 vertical and 2 horizontal lines helps users employ this rule. I believe this is called the rule of thirds, which is like basically that if you split your photo into like sort of thirds, kind of, at least visually, then it ends up looking aesthetically nice, I think is sort of the idea. But I know for sure that it's called the rule of thirds. Question 4, SLRs and TLRs are single lens and twin lens types of what kind of camera? The word for these cameras refers to the mirror and prism system that directs the image from the lens to the viewfinder. I don't know. I'm thinking it's either reflective or refractive, given like mirror and prism sounds very kind of like that sort of thing, I guess. I'm going to say maybe refractive lens, like single lens refractive camera and twin lens refractive camera. It sounds like it could be a thing. It's a guess, but I think it, at least has a chance. Question 5, in 2004, what company issued a warning saying that users should not follow the instruction in a line from then recent hit song Hey Ya? That warning was to prevent customers from accidentally damaging their products, which are still usually produced behind a clear plastic film. I don't know. I mean, this is probably like a photography company. I think I'm supposed to know the lyrics to Hey Ya to get the answer to this, but I certainly don't. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I'm wondering if it's like, is it like Polaroid? Like, is that a company or is that just like a line of products? Because like they're products which are still usually produced behind a clear plastic film. Like, I don't know what that means. Like it's not just going to be like Nikon or Kodak, right? Like, Because why would their products be? I don't know what's going on here. Like, I thought about it for a little while and I just didn't really get anywhere with it, so I kind of just gave up. Like, are the pictures produced behind the clear plastic film? I don't know. I'm gonna say Polaroid. I'm not even sure that this is a company. This might just be like a product made by a company, but I don't know. I don't know what's going on here, and I think I need to know the song to know any better here. Finally, question 6. A protophotographic technique in which mercury fumes are applied to a silver-coated plate to make an image appear was named for and developed in the mid-1800s by what Frenchman? So this one's interesting. I think this is called a daguerreotype. I think this is what a daguerreotype is. It's like an old sort of, proto-photographic technique. I mean, I couldn't have put it better myself. But I think that's what a daguerreotype is. I've heard the term enough times to be reasonably confident that that's what this is. So I guess if it's named after a person and it's called a daguerreotype, then I guess the guy's name is just Daguerre, because like Daguerre, it sounds reasonably French, and it's like, I don't know, it wouldn't be like Daguerreau, right? Like that seems a lot less French. I mean, it could also be like that or something, but I feel like this is the most reasonable way to chop the word to get a name that looks French. So I'm going to go with that, although I'm not sure I want to enhance it because I just don't feel great about it. Like, I don't know. I mean, it might be right. It probably is right, but I'm also not 100% sure that this is what a daguerreotype is, but it's like daguerre. It sounds so reasonable. I almost want to enhance it because, like, what else is this going to be? Like, the one word that I thought of when I heard proto-photographic technique was daguerreotype, and it happens to have a name in it that sounds aggressively French, and then you add type after the end. I mean, that's surely this is right. I think I go with this. It's a little bit of a risk because I'm not 100%, but the other ones that I have just feel easier. And I kind of want to go with this because it just feels, I don't know, it feels gettable, honestly. Like, it feels gettable. I mean, I didn't phrase that very well, but you know what I mean. It feels like I have a pretty good shot here. I think this is almost got to be right because I can't imagine that my answer is, it would be crazy if it felt this good and was wrong, basically. Enough yapping from me, I think. I think I'm going to go with 6. This is a risk, but I feel like it has a very good chance of being correct. So, okay. Sure, man. Come on. Daguerre. Yes, let's go. Nice. It is actually Polaroid. Okay, cool. I didn't realize that was a company. It makes sense, though. Reflex, that's tough. I think I was only either going to say reflective or refractive there. Reflex wasn't going to come to mind, so I don't think I'm getting that. Rule of thirds, fisheye is correct, and then aperture. 5 out of 6 on a photo quiz. I'm totally okay with that. That was not actually that easy, and I feel like if I hadn't taken that photo class, I probably would have gotten like maybe 2 or 3 on this. So I'm happy that came in handy, and I'm happy that I remembered what a daguerreotype was, because I think that's not very easy. Especially, I mean, not only do you have to know what the thing is, but then you have to extract the name from that. So definitely not a trivial question, but happy with the performance there for sure, because normally I'm good at like, visual arts, like art history, that kind of thing, but I'm not necessarily very good at, I mean, this is visual arts, but you know what I mean. This is different from like paintings. So I'm pretty happy with that. Finally, quiz 7. It's all about love. First of all, the ancient Greeks had many different words for love, depending on the type of love being expressed. What word did they use for romantic love, similar to the love imparted by Cupid in the Roman myth system? Cupid in the Roman myth system is Eros in the Greek myth system, and Eros is indeed the word for romantic love. Question 2, what word encompasses many forms of pleasure, including love, in South Asian belief systems like Buddhism and Hinduism? It also partially titles a text by Vatsyayana that is meant to guide the reader on how to keep pleasure in many areas of life, including love and sex. This is presumably the Kama Sutra, so I guess the word would be Kama because it's not Sutra, because that has a completely different meaning. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Kama would be the word here. Cannot think of anything better. I think this is surely correct. Question 3, a Proto-Germanic verb meaning to love is the source of the name of Frigga, goddess of marriage and motherhood. Frigga, the chief goddess in her myth system, is the wife of I have to assume Odin. I mean, if Odin is the chief god, then Frigga is the chief goddess in Norse myth, but it's definitely Norse, so Odin should be the answer here. Question 4. The cowherd and the weaver girl, a pair of lovers who are banished to opposite sides of the Milky Way but are able to meet on a set day once a year, are central to a tale that originated in the myth system of what country? This, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be anything, really. My guess that I came up with was Japan, but it sure as heck doesn't have to be Japan. It could be pretty much any country in the world. I thought of China. I thought of Australia. I thought of, like, it could be like South Korea. It could be India. I mean, India's already come up, so it's probably not that. I mean, it could be like Africa. It could be like Nigeria or something. It could be Arab. It could be like basically the point I'm trying to make is that it could be anything. It could be New Zealand. It could be Maori. It could be South America. You get the point. I have absolutely no idea. I've just never heard of the thing. I mean, I guess weaving is probably not not a thing that happens prominently everywhere. Like, it's probably more prominent in certain places than others, and same with like herding of cows, but surely that still includes most of the world. So there's kind of nothing I can do here other than guess. So I'm going to guess. Question 5. Much of the psychological study of love concerns when and why the body releases what hormone, which is chiefly responsible for feelings of love and friendship. I believe the love hormone is oxytocin. We had the stress hormone, I think, come up earlier in the season, or maybe the one before, and that I believe was cortisol, but I'm pretty sure oxytocin is the love hormone. So I'm going to go with that. And then finally, question 6. The theory of love languages was initially published by a Baptist pastor, but it has since proliferated to become a major component of popular psychology surrounding love. Name any of the 5 love languages. They are quality time, physical touch, words of affirmation, acts of service, and gift giving or receiving. Gift receiving, I think, is the last one. I'll go with quality time because I have taken a quiz on this before, and that is the one that I got because, yeah, nothing beats some good quality time. So I feel pretty good about how I've done here as well. I think this has been a really solid week. The pop culture quiz was, not perfect. I think the one after that was not perfect as well, but did very well on the photo quiz. Pretty happy with the general knowledge ones. I think in general it was a good week, assuming that I do actually have 5 out of 6 here, which I think I do. Last question is, what do I enhance? Obviously not 4, but as for the rest, this is interesting because I honestly don't know how well known the love languages are. Like, I feel like you either kind of just know them all or don't know any of them. And it's, I don't know, like maybe that's actually trickier than I initially thought. Because it's like, it's easy to think it's easy when you just know them, but like, I don't know. Like, Kama Sutra is really well known. Eros is easy. Odin, I don't know. Because, like, if you can figure out that it's Norse, I mean, it says Proto-Germanic, and Frigga sounds very sort of, Proto-Germanic, I guess. So I feel like it's doable to figure out that it's Norse. And once you figure out that it's Norse, you probably say Odin. I mean, you might say Thor, but like, it just feels kind of guessable. And oxytocin, I mean, I feel like a lot of people just know science stuff, but again, that could be a good one to enhance. But even though there are 5 possible answers for 6, it feels to me like if you don't know all of them, you might not know any of them. So I'm actually go with 6. Maybe this is a mistake, but I'm actually going to send it in. I guess, does this not count at the bottom? I don't know. Oh, man. South Korea. Is this an omen? Is the myth system one going to be South Korea? Is it teasing me? It's China. Man, it's so annoying. Okay, acts of service, gift giving, physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time. Best one is listed last. Terrible. Eros, Odin, oxytocin. That's 5 out of 6. I will take it. That certainly works. I think this is a solid week. I doubt I'm breaking 40 here. I don't think I'm breaking 40. I think I'm probably top. Yeah, I would guess that I'm maybe 6th right now. Could be a little bit lower, 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that would be my best guess. But the deadline isn't for 4 hours, and I have to go and come back a lot later and deal with that then. So I'm just going to end this recording. But of course, for you guys, as always, it will be instantaneous, and I will see you once we know what my scores for the week were. All right, here are your final standings for week number 4 of season 8. I will hide the camera. Congratulations to Solar Sensei with an insane week, 42.66, followed by Rasmus and Sundrenched rounding out the podium. Very impressive performances from all three of them. 36.68 for me. Pretty solid week, to be honest. I got, I think, at least 4 on each quiz and a couple of 5s and a 6. So not so bad for me, but there were some insane performances this week. So GG's to everybody. I believe going into week 5, I was around 4th or 5th or something. Can't check the overall standings because they're going to spoil week number 5. But yeah, it was a solid week after, let's see, 8th in week 4, 2nd in week 3, 6th in week 2, and 2nd in week 1. So it was actually my worst week so far, but it still wasn't really so bad. And I think it was around what I predicted. So yeah, that's going to be it for week 4. And I'll see you all very soon for week number 5. Until then.